All right, thank you, Jason, and hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today at SquaredUp Live. As Jason says, I hope we put on a really good show for you. We have some hugely exciting product announcements to make, probably some of the most important in the history of SquaredUp. And in addition, we have some awesome content to deliver you and some great community conversations lined up over the next couple of days. To kick that all off in the keynote, I'd like to introduce our new product lineup, including some live demos to show you how SquaredUp is taking on a path to unified IT observability. First off, though, a quick talk about observability. Why are we talking about this? Well, if you've been following the monitoring space over the last couple of years, you would have seen this term crop up, and really observability is eating monitoring. In fact, if you've been following this, really observability has eaten monitoring. It's a term that's really kind of caught the monitoring community's attention, and really sort of there's a huge focus on observability now. We all know that monitoring is important. Probably many of us have spent many years of our life telling our entire organization how important it is to monitor. But we also know that it tells us when something's wrong. It's really important, but that it's only just the start of a process. When an alert is raised, and a response has to be made, and really there's only just a start of a process happening with those alerts. And we can start alerting and monitoring on many different aspects of our systems, but we all know that leads to alert noise and alert fatigue. So on its own, monitoring is not enough, and this is really what the monitoring community started to really sort of think about how we can take this further and really identify the need to understand the why behind what's happening in our systems and these alerts, not just receiving these alerts. So observability has really caused a sort of a long overdue reboot of the monitoring world. But what exactly is observability? Well, if you go check that out online, you'll probably come across this definition: the ability to infer the internal state of a system based on its external outputs. It's a phrase used in control theory. What does that mean? Simply, it's about having the information you need to figure out what's going on. So monitoring is the act of checking some data. It's important as ever, but observability asks a bigger question. Do we have all the data we need to really figure out what's going on? Let's take a sort of quick example of this. If we're remotely monitoring the temperature of our living room at home, right? We can see the temperature. We can maybe get an alert when it's high or low. But do we really understand why the room is at that temperature? Are the windows open? What's the temperature outside? Is there a solar gain coming through those windows? What's the temperature of other rooms nearby? Are the doors open? Are there any people in the room, or are there any other sources of heat? There's a lot more to really understanding why your living room is at that temperature than just knowing what the temperature is. And we may be able to control the temperature, but that system isn't really controllable if we can't open and close the windows, put the blinds up and down, open and shut the doors, and so on. And that system's not observable if we don't understand all that information as well. And that really is then what observability is about. Do we have the information we need to understand what's going on? And observability is something that we can all relate to in whatever role we have, whether it's within IT, within monitoring, or perhaps in a field beyond, having the information you need to figure out what's going on. Now, of course, it's fundamental in the world of complex IT systems that we depend on every day for our work and play. And this word observability is now a word that can describe that need to have the information to figure out what's going on. If you ask a developer who knows or maybe even wrote the code behind an application what information they need to figure out what's going on, this is what you get. They want to know the logs. They want to know what's happening with their code that is executing, which routines are taking the longest, which parameters are causing requests to fail, what the chain of events are that leading to failure. And so developers talking about observability really sort of focus on this need to understand how, typically their code that they know or have written is executing. And that leads to these three pillars of observability: metrics, logs, and traces. And a whole heap of tools have started to evolve around these three pillars of observability, typically APM tools and logging tools that your developer groups within your organization may be investing in today. And they focus on collecting the logs from as many different sources as possible into a single monolithic data store for those log analytics. So that's for developers who need to understand how their code is executing, the code of the applications that they have developed. But what does observability mean for teams who haven't developed those applications? What does it mean for IT operations? Now, IT operations face a very different challenge. They probably don't feel a lack of data. So in terms of whether the data is there to understand what's going on, they probably feel that the data is there. But generally for IT operations, the challenge is finding that data and making sense of it. For IT operations, there's a number of challenges. First of all, you need to really understand complex dependencies. You're probably supporting an array of applications and business services that you didn't develop, but you do have to support. So knowing where those business services are running and what their dependencies are is the first step really in the challenge. Typically then, because in a large enterprise IT organization, there are many different teams. To actually understand what's happening is not about just looking in one single sort of repository, in one sort of set of log files around one application. It's normally crossing organizational knowledge silos, whether that's the developer teams themselves or independent technology owners. You really need to span many different teams within an organization to pull together that information to truly understand what is happening. And lastly, there are many different tools involved. We all know about tool sprawl, the proliferation of management and monitoring tools. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Each one of those tools is a best of breed tool that an individual team is relying on to maintain their part of this story. But when it comes to that higher level understanding, you end up with that sprawl of tools with nowhere to turn. So when you ask an IT operations team about observability, what information do they need to figure out what is happening? They usually answer with this phrase: they need a single pane of glass. Earlier this year, we went out to our customers and the IT operations community at large to ask what a single pane of glass means to you. And this is just some of what you told us on just one question out of a 50-question survey. And these are just some of the answers we got for that one question. And you can just see how passionate you were about this topic. We got a huge amount of information, real in-depth descriptions about the situations where you find a lack of observability, the situations where you need a single pane of glass, and then really trying to get to the bottom of what a single pane of glass means to you. It's a phrase that we've had in the industry for many, many years, but still is elusive and still needed. And so I'm not going to go through each one of these bits of feedback here, but the sentiment from the responses really shone through. Fundamentally, it was about having one place to go, one place to start when trying to figure out what's happening in an environment for a business service. Second of all, is around correlating and connecting data. It's not about necessarily just putting it all into one place and having one tool. It's one place that can correlate and connect the data you know that you have across those many different tools and across those many different knowledge silos, but about bringing that together and connecting it. And it is about connecting that across all tools and data you have. You know that if you have a blind spot, that can be the missing piece of the puzzle. And so it really is about being able to say any tool can come together into one place. Now, when we sort of really got into the why, why do you have a single pane of glass? The overriding need was actually just to understand what was happening at the high level, the big picture. What is the status of my business services right now? What is the status of the key infrastructure that I'm depending on? That's the reassurance you want, that everything's okay, everything's green, everything's good, or that there are issues and you can be proactive and jump on those issues. So really the emphasis was on, first of all, that high level, that big picture. And then, of course, those insights, the easy way to get to the root cause, to find out where to go and look next. Not necessarily to solve the problem, but certainly to have that signpost towards where you need to look and which tool you need to look in. And that really was what observability means to IT operations teams. And that's why today at SquaredUp Live and with our product lineup, we're talking about unified IT observability. One place that brings together every tool that provides a clear picture of status with the insights needed to quickly get to the root cause. So today I'm absolutely thrilled to be announcing 3 new products in our product lineup that are going to take you, our customers, and the broader community on a path to unified IT observability. Let's dive in and have a look at the first one. Now, first up, I want to talk about dashboards. Everyone loves a dashboard. Now, dashboards are not the whole story when it comes to understanding data. We absolutely get that. And actually within the observability community, there's even a bit of a backlash against dashboards because, like monitoring, they're static, they're fixed. They tell you when something's wrong if you're deciding to monitor it, but they don't necessarily tell you why it's wrong, what's going on. Or if it's not in a dashboard, you don't have visibility over it. So certainly the observability movement really is around saying we need more than just dashboards, and we absolutely get that. But the word dashboard is a useful shorthand for saying, show me the data. Everyone loves a dashboard. They're a great place to start to decide what you do care about and what you need to share to others in terms of status. And of course, dashboards just mean data you can access, data you can see, data you can understand. And that's why everyone loves a dashboard. Now, here at SquaredUp, we know a thing or two about making dashboards that people love, and we have wanted to bring that capability to a broader audience, not just systems monitored by SCOM and Azure. And that's why today we're announcing the release of SquaredUp Dashboard Server, our awesome dashboards available standalone to everyone, enabling you to dashboard any data for free. Dashboard Server includes our effortless dashboard authoring through our dashboard designer and combines that with our go anywhere open access sharing. So you can push these dashboards out to unlimited number of users through open access that can appear on any device. We have combined those with an amazing new PowerShell integration. This means that you can write a PowerShell script to get data from literally anywhere and pull that into any one of our visualizations in our dashboards. Super powerful new feature. And that's combined with dedicated tiles for other common enterprise IT data sources. So SQL databases, REST APIs, Azure Kusto, Elastic Splunk, and more. This is for everyone. So as I say, standalone, so no SCOM required, no Azure required. This is now for dashboarding any data and for any team. And we have both free versions with unlimited number of dashboards out to unlimited number of users and an enterprise version. So to take us through a quick look at Dashboard Server, I'd like to invite up on stage John Knowles, Director of Product Management here at SquaredUp. Hi, John.
Good afternoon, Richard.
Great, John. Can you take us through a quick look at Dashboard Server and what it can do?
I'd love to. Thank you. Firstly, Richard, thank you. It's a real honor to be unveiling our new product with you today. So as Richard mentioned, Dashboard Server is built upon foundations of many years of dashboarding experience that we've got here at SquaredUp. And it's really exciting now that we're opening up this platform for more general purpose use cases. And also, as Richard said, for free as well, starting at a free price. So I want to quickly demonstrate some of the use cases that we've been using Dashboard Server for at SquaredUp. And first of all, this KPI dashboard. So metrics are really important to all teams, not just IT operations teams. And being able to share your metrics in real time across the business can be a real game changer. This KPI dashboard is actually pulling metrics and values straight out of an Excel spreadsheet that's stored in our SharePoint. As the numbers are updated in Excel by any user in the business, the dashboard automatically retrieves the latest values from the Microsoft Resource Graph API. And that doesn't require any intervention or any manual editing within SquaredUp itself. You can update the values in Excel and they just appear on the dashboard as if by magic, which is really cool. Of course, Dashboard Server doesn't have to just be used for sort of sharing some static values out of an Excel spreadsheet. You could also use it to monitor a website, monitor an application. And in this example here, we're checking that our website is currently live using the HTML iframe sort of content in the middle there. And we're also pulling in some metrics out of our outside-in monitoring. In this case, it's Pingdom, but it could be any tool of your choice, Thousand Eyes or Uptime Robot. And what we can see with that is the response time. We can see that it's available. People can access the site and we know that they're going to get a reasonable response. And we've got that across all of the key zones of where our website is accessed from. Because Dashboard Server is a blank canvas, it doesn't have to just be metrics from that one tool. So in this example, we've also got some Google Analytics statistics coming in, showing us the current number of users on the site, how long they're spending on there, what their session duration is like, etc. So there's a couple of really simple examples about how you could use Dashboard Server in your organization. And I'm going to dive into these in a bit more detail later on in the Dashboard Server deep dives. Next thing I want to show you was how quick and easy it is to actually use the Dashboard Server. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a new dashboard. Built into Dashboard Server is our great intuitive dashboard designer. You can pick from any of these great templates that are available out of the box and obviously customize them at a later stage if you need to. For this example, I'm just going to choose a simple side-by-side tile configuration. Now, Dashboard Server has a whole range of integrations available out of the box, giving you full flexibility on what data sources you want to connect to. I'm going to dive into PowerShell and show you a little script about that's going to pull out some process information out of the server. So with PowerShell, our newest and most powerful integration to date, you can really visualize any data you want from any source, as long as you've got a little bit of PowerShell knowledge. So the first thing I want to do is count the number of processes on the server. So I'm going to choose the scale of visualization, select the profile that it's going to run under, and then I will copy and paste in my PowerShell script. This PowerShell script is just going to talk to the server, fetch the number of active processes that are running, and display them as a value. Click Apply Changes to execute the script, and that's done. So I can see that this server that SquaredUp is running on has 174 active processes, which is kind of interesting, but it doesn't tell us much about what those processes are doing. So in the next tile, I'm going to choose PowerShell again. What I want to show here is the number of active processes that are actually consuming CPU on the server itself. So I'll get my slightly modified script that's using a very similar PowerShell command, paste that into the box and execute it. I'll click Done and Publish. And now I've got a really simple dashboard that is, one, showing me the number of processes running, and two, how much of the active processes are actually consuming of the CPU. It's as simple as that. So the dashboarding possibilities with SquaredUp are really endless now that we've got this PowerShell integration. And I'll tell you what, Richard, I can't wait to see what amazing dashboards customers can come up with this great combination of PowerShell and SquaredUp rolled into one.
That's awesome. Thank you, John. So what do I need to run Dashboard Server?
Just like all the other SquaredUp products, you can deploy it on a Windows server. That could be a box in the office, a box in your sort of on-premise infrastructure, or a virtual machine in Azure, AWS, Google Cloud, wherever you want to run your Windows server.
Right, so no SCOM, no Azure, just any Windows server running anywhere, and I can install Dashboard Server. Awesome.
That's correct. And the authentication logging in will just use your standard Windows domain, or just add users onto that box who need to access it.
Awesome. And then this is designed for enterprise IT, but I think sort of she showed there briefly, this is not just limited to monitoring data.
Correct. You could really monitor anything you want with it. It's designed for IT professionals, so when you want to roll it out to other teams in the organization, you can obviously assist them with getting their dashboards set up. Maybe they've got a SaaS tool like a marketing tool like HubSpot that they want to get some metrics out of, so you can help them with that side of it. But it really is designed for dashboarding anything. Actually, some of us have been having some fun at home. I've built a dashboard, which I'll show later on, for my Plex media server. And also, if you've got any sort of interest in sports in the office, you could do sort of fantasy leagues, maybe monitoring the Olympics, have some dashboards on the walls with the Olympics later in the year.
Awesome. And I guess we have a competition coming up shortly around the best dashboard wins some Star Wars Legos. So I know, John, you've been sort of hankering after that Lego and trying to put together some dashboards, but unfortunately not eligible to win, being a SquaredUp employee.
I should have read the small print.
We'll see those dashboards later. Thank you very much, John. We'll see you for the deep dive later today. So that's Dashboard Server. I hope you agree. Looks phenomenal, and with that PowerShell integration now available, also sort of standalone, really limitless possibilities for dashboarding any data. And as John says, there, free version available, unlimited dashboards and unlimited users through open access, and that is available today. So we look forward to seeing more of that. Just sort of 3 places to go and learn more about Dashboard Server. Actually, I'm just going to point you first of all towards the customer spotlight that's coming up after the keynote from Adam. And we had a preview version of SquaredUp Dashboard Server for a few weeks now, and actually we've had some really great entries of some dashboards built with Dashboard Server, and some really nice, interesting sort of ideas around what you can do with it. So I'd recommend go stick around for the customer spotlight coming up and check out those really interesting dashboards with Dashboard Server. And then of course John is going to be back later today with a deep dive of Dashboard Server, showing us kind of all of those different new tiles in detail. So please do stick around for John's session. And then of course we are running our SquaredUp booth that Jason mentioned at the beginning there. Within the booth, you'll find a Dashboard Server kiosk. John and the engineering team behind this new product, Dashboard Server, are available for demos and questions and anything you want to know about Dashboard Server. That's going to open up straight after the keynote, so please do head over to those kiosks today or tomorrow and see more about Dashboard Server. All right, fantastic. We've talked about dashboards, and actually I started by talking about how dashboards really weren't the whole story when it came to understanding what's happening. Now, if you're a SquaredUp customer, you also know that SquaredUp dashboards aren't just dashboards. With our SCOM and Azure products, we create dashboards that connect the dots. And no more in particular with our SCOM product and our Enterprise Application Monitoring Edition that has visual application discovery and analysis, or VADA, that allows you to map out your business services across any of the infrastructure monitored by SCOM and store those in application maps that do literally connect the dots between your infrastructure and your business services. And we then are able to produce those top-level dashboards, a little like John was showing there, where you can show business service status of any business service monitored by SCOM and by the VADA technology, but also connect those down to dashboards for each of your individual infrastructure and resource nodes that are monitored by SCOM, literally dashboards that create themselves when you drill down and use those perspectives. So we can actually link those top-level dashboards of your business services through those application maps all the way down to dashboards at an individual resource level with both SquaredUp for SCOM and SquaredUp for Azure today. So we are more than just dashboards, and the Dashboard Server is just our dashboard now available. But if you're using our SCOM and Azure product, you'll be very familiar with our dashboards that connect the dots and really start to give you that observability across your business services monitored by SCOM and Azure. Now, if you're a SquaredUp customer watching that Dashboard Server demo and thinking, wow, what could I do with all those new integrations and that PowerShell support in the context of my SCOM and Azure environments, then we have a huge treat for you because today our second announcement is that we are announcing the release of SquaredUp 5.1, extending the observability of your SCOM and Azure environments by surfacing data from any data source and any tool. So this includes all of the new integrations John just sort of quickly ran through there in Dashboard Server, and those are the PowerShell integrations plus all those dedicated tiles for SQL, REST API, Kusto, Elastic, Splunk, and more. And those are available both in the dashboards, like in Dashboard Server, but also in those contextual drill downs where we're starting to connect the dots between all those dashboards for every single monitored entity in SCOM and Azure. You can now incorporate data from external tools beyond SCOM and Azure using all of the visualizations that we have on offer to truly create the full picture at every level of your business services. So this is available for SquaredUp for SCOM, Connect, and EAM editions, and for SquaredUp for Azure. And to show us SquaredUp 5.1 and give us a bit of a preview, I'd like to invite on stage SquaredUp Product Manager Vincent Babin, or just Vince, if your French accent is as terrible as mine. So hi, Vince, welcome.
Hi, Richard. How are you doing?
Very good, thanks. Vince, can you show us what we can do with, I think, some of those features that John talked about, but in the context of our business service monitoring with SCOM?
I can do indeed. So I'm really excited to show you basically a sneak peek of some of the awesome new features of 5.1 and really how you can bring more external data sources in the context of SCOM and Azure. So this is a SquaredUp for SCOM dashboard, and it's basically showing me all my business services, which are monitored with SquaredUp EAM, which is our enterprise applications management module. And on the right-hand side, we have some business level KPI on this high-level dashboard. And this is basically here we are bringing data to visualize orders and revenue from an SQL database. And what we are doing is using our new SQL status tiles, as you can see here, red and green status tiles, very beautiful, very simple and easy to understand. And we are also showing here the new SQL donuts, as well as our new SQL bar graph visualization. So if we now drill down to our sales application, which is mapped out using Veda, which is our visual application designer, we can see, if I go to the user experience perspective, we can see on the right-hand side that we are not just monitoring SCOM, we are on the left-hand side, but on the right-hand side, we are bringing basically or monitoring or looking at the data from external tools. So we've got the number of tickets coming to our service desk using a web API to Zendesk. We can also look at the response time from Pingdom as well. And all that's useful, but what I really want to see is, is a combination of all those metrics actually telling me, should I be concerned or not? So what I've done here is created a PowerShell metric on the fly using a new PowerShell tile in 5.1. So again, with a slightly more complex script from what we've seen from John earlier, what I'm doing is connecting to Pingdom, connecting to our ticketing system, and I'm basically creating some metrics on the fly here, which basically tell me in a very simple status tiles whether everything is running good or whether I should be concerned about anything, and maybe I should troubleshoot and drill down a little bit further. So that's our new PowerShell tile in 5.1 for SCOM and Azure. If I just drill out again and drill down to another application, what we are going to look at is another example of how we can use a PowerShell tile, this time in the context of an infrastructure view. So what we've got here is a view of all of my servers, which are making up this sales application. So they are monitored by SCOM, but we're also hosting some of those servers on VMware. So with a PowerShell VMware module, we are able to surface some of that really critical data from VMware, just to make sure that VMware host is doing okay and that our VMware machines are also doing fine. And in this perspective, server's perspective, everything looks to be green, so that makes me quite happy. And then what we'll do is look at another new feature of 5.1. This time I'm going to drill down to our web component tier of this application. And what we are doing here is we've got a dashboard that's going to load in a second. That's quite useful if you're looking to troubleshoot your front-end application, because you can see detailed metrics. They're actually coming from Splunk. So what we are doing on this dashboard is using our new Splunk visualization. So we are putting data directly from Splunk using our new Splunk point-and-click wizard, which is very easy to use. We give you a search query search. You have the ability to put in your saved searches from Splunk as well. And what I really like is that what we've done is we've also integrated Splunk with the dashboard timeframe. So you can really, if you're investigating an issue and you need to zoom into to the data, maybe the last 1 hour, you can do that very easily, and all the dashboard will refresh. We go to Splunk, ask Splunk for the right data and the right time frame, and we're really able to build some really dynamic dashboards here. And alongside Splunk, we are also we've also added an Elasticsearch native integration as well. It's available with all the visualizations, and it works the same way as Splunk. It's very easy to use. It's very point and click. So wherever your logs live, you now have access to Elastic. you have access to Splunk, and of course, you still have access to the Azure log analytics, on which we've also added more visualizations to really help you get to the data you need and really help you identify where the problem might be, what the root cause might be on a certain application. So that's pretty much it for a short sneak peek of 5.1 for SCOM and Azure. Well done to our engineering team. They've done a really amazing job with this release. And yeah, back to you, Richard.
That's wonderful. Thanks, Vince. So in the product today, when you drill down through into a business service, down into the individual resources monitored by SCOM, you can get all that SCOM data, pretty much out of the box. With 5.1, you can now integrate any data from any of those data sources in the context of any one of those monitored entities.
Yeah, absolutely. I think all the the new features, PowerShell, Splunk, Elasticsearch, they all work with perspectives as well. So regardless of which application you're looking at, you're going to see the same data update accordingly or according to the application you're looking at. So we are using the SCOM object model and basically just those dynamics perspectives to let you look at your applications from any angle consistently across any application. So yes.
Awesome, thank you. And this is available today for all existing customers?
Today, I believe 2 hours ago, we made it available for download on the website. So it's a free upgrade for all the SCOM and Azure users. So go take a look at our website, and the new integrations, as you said, Richard, are available for SCOM, Connect and EAM tiers, as well as SquaredUp for Azure.
All right, awesome. Thank you very much, Vince, and we'll catch you later for the deep dive. But thanks for that quick sneak peek. So, SquaredUp 5.1 available today. And as I say, sort of a few more places to go to learn more about that. That was just a very sort of short intro. Probably actually, first of all, go check out John's session on Dashboard Server. That's where we'll sort of learn about all of the new tiles and integrations. And then Vince will sort of follow that with the deep dive of SquaredUp 5.1, where he'll really show how you can put all that into the context of your SCOM object model and your Azure resource graph entities, and bring that all together into those dashboards that connect the dots, right? Not just those top level dashboards. So try and catch both if you can, to really kind of get the sort of full intro into all those new features in 5.1. And of course, over in the SquaredUp booth, we have the SquaredUp 5.1 kiosk, where Vince and again the engineers who have been working on this very hard over the last sort of few months to really sort of get this out ready in time for SquaredUp Live. You can actually go and meet those engineers building all those key features, throw them any question, give them a good test, and really kind of enjoy having access directly to the engineering team who can tell you all about those new features. So there you have it, dashboards with a dashboard server, dashboards that connect the dots with SquaredUp 5.1. Believe it or not, we have more to show. So far, we've looked at that dashboarding any data, and we've looked at how we can extend the observability of our SCOM and Azure environments. But there's one more thing that I'd like to show you that completes our vision for unified IT observability across every platform and across every cloud and across every business service. Over the last 10 years, we have seen the role of IT operations, and in particular the monitoring teams that we work with, evolve. When we started out, when SCOM was still really at the heart of every monitoring strategy around infrastructure, the focus really was on monitoring your on-prem infrastructure. Now, that in itself is a huge challenge, right? It's complex, heterogeneous infrastructure with, of course, those sort of tool sprawl and knowledge silos, and that's been a sort of huge challenge for IT operations forever, really, managing that on-prem infrastructure and the applications you can run on top of that. But actually, over the last few years, we have seen that role of that central monitoring team and IT operations evolve as the business and the IT organization has become much more service-centric, really focusing on the business services that the IT organization is delivering out to the business. So we've seen IT operations teams become much more aligned with the business goals and really focus not just on monitoring the infrastructure, but really understanding business service status and being able to resolve incidents that are business impacting fast. So that's really a pattern we've seen emerge across many of our customers. I talked about our Enterprise Application Monitoring Edition and our VADA technology, and that EAM edition is purchased by over half of customers buying SquaredUp for SCOM. So we've really seen a lot of our customers come with us on that journey from infrastructure monitoring to application monitoring and focusing on those business services. But there's been another trend emerging over the last few years, and we've really seen a distinct shift just in the last 2 years with our enterprise customers, so some of the largest enterprises around the world, really now adopting cloud at quite a pace. And these are some organizations that a couple of years ago would deny ever entering the cloud, right? There's always going to be on-prem, but we've really seen that shift over the last couple of years. And now we're seeing a lot of new applications being developed in the cloud, and it's brought with it a new model of both application development and IT operations. Typically, those applications are being built with very high velocity DevOps teams, so really kind of enabling the iterations of those applications being deployed out into the cloud. The application architectures have changed substantially, really now progressing towards a microservice architecture with itself a lot of complex dependencies, and of course operating at a cloud scale. When we had virtualization appear in the data center, there was a sprawl of VMs. Now with the adoption of the cloud, we have a sprawl of just cloud resources, whatever they are, across many different types of infrastructure and platform services. We have a huge number of resources being deployed out every day into the cloud. And this has created a new challenge for IT operations teams in our enterprise customers. No longer are they just supporting on-prem infrastructure, no longer are they just supporting those business services running on that on-prem infrastructure. They're now needing to support business services running across both on-prem and cloud. Now, although they don't own the cloud infrastructure, that's the whole point of using the cloud, is it doesn't need to be managed by your organization. Our customers are being required to monitor those business services being deployed by DevOps teams out into the cloud. And it's a new challenge requiring a new level of observability across every business service, not just the business services running on the infrastructure owned by the IT operations teams. So for that reason, that's why we are focusing on this unified IT observability and really this new challenge to monitor every single business service. And that's why today we're introducing a preview of our next generation dashboarding technology, SquaredUp Cloud, which will deliver true unified IT observability. SquaredUp Cloud will integrate with every tool, providing visibility across every cloud, both on-prem and every public cloud, and ultimately visibility across every business service. Now, SquaredUp Cloud is not going to be attached to SCOM or Azure like the products we've just seen, but instead leverages a knowledge graph technology that literally connects the dots across your entire IT environment. Now, SquaredUp Cloud is currently in development and coming soon, but to give us a preview of this powerful new dashboarding platform, I'd like to invite up on stage Jason Bedreau, VP of Product Management and Marketing at SquaredUp, and of course, the person who you're familiar with already as he introduced the events. Hi, Jason.
All right, thank you, Richard, and hello again to everybody. It is my honor to show you SquaredUp Cloud. We're getting really excited about it. So this is SquaredUp Cloud. At first glance, it's going to look kind of similar to what you've seen from John and Vincent in their quick demos that we just saw. Similar visualizations, and tiles, status, scalars, line graphs, and grids. It's a similar experience to sort of edit and adjust the tile layouts that we just saw in John's demo, but it is a refreshed look and feel, right? You'll see that already right off the bat. You're going to access dashboards now in the left column, which is kind of collapsible. And we put this search bar as the focus. Try to get the information you're looking for at your fingertips, like Richard said, to help connect the dots. But there's much more behind the scenes, and these dashboards go much deeper, like Richard talked about as well. So they're powered by many different data sources. Let's take a look at what we have in our demo environment. So in this case, we are using SCOM still, but it's just one of several data sources. We're also using Azure Cloud, ServiceNow, New Relic, And all of these data sources are fed into what Richard described, that graph, the graph that literally connects the dots. You can think of it in a similar concept to the underlying object model within SCOM, the thing that makes SCOM's drill downs possible within SquaredUp. But this is a high-level view of that knowledge graph that Richard talked about, that graph. You can zoom in and out of it, and you can see the sort of complex dependencies and relationships that help you make sense of how this web is sort of tied together. This isn't specifically meant to be, navigatable. It's as the UI, but it's really just the back end of what's going on, and that makes things like search possible. So I can search this graph to find what I'm looking for, and then quickly surface those connections. So I'll search for a host, Web01. I can see from the results that this is a host that is monitored by SCOM, but it's also monitored by New Relic, and it's hosted in Azure. So I can click into this host, and the sort of tools that gave us this data are represented as these perspectives. So I can drill into this SCOM perspective. And the data that we're seeing here is coming automatically from SCOM. So it's basically being pulled through that graph in real time. And then again, we understand that we're correlating that data on this host with New Relic as well. So then this data, again, pulled right from New Relic in real time. And again, Richard mentioned that sort of survey that we've been asking you about what is a single pane of glass. And we heard very loud and clear, it's one place to go, but it doesn't mean sort of one tool, full stop, right? You still need access to the powerful data in your existing tools. And so we put that data available kind of right in context. So you can drill in this example to New Relic while maintaining the context of that host that we just searched for within SquaredUp. And now I can continue to drill down in New Relic if I need to. But a lot of that data you can surface automatically through SquaredUp. And so again, as we're talking about, the context here of all of this data is with your business services. And so we have a business services view. We want to summarize this in the context of those business services. So this is similar to the EAM dashboard product we have in SquaredUp today, but it's sitting on top of every business service, sort of wherever it's running. Here we have all the critical business services that we rely on at SquaredUp. So this is our licensing portal. It's hosted on Azure. We have our community answers, our forum. This is externally hosted. And now today we are running the SquaredUp Cloud, which is still in development, but this is a very important business service for us to monitor as well. We can see that it does have some issues with it, so it's listed as red. So we can drill into that. And so first what we have here is, again, we have a number of perspectives. The first perspective is the business service perspective. And so we can see sort of the status of what we're telling our customers. We can see a thumbnail that our customers would be seeing, live status of the page. We can see what the desk, sort of the help desk is seeing in terms of tickets, and we can see the monitoring performance from the outside in. And then we can look at all these different perspectives. So we have a service level perspective to tell us kind of the SLO. We can look at the service desk to tell us their open tickets, the tickets by type. If we need to escalate this issue, we can do that. We have our technical escalation point listed here. But then we can create custom dashboards, sort of like what John showed in his demo, and Vincent as well. So this is a demo that our product management team, or a dashboard rather, that our product management team built to track daily active users within SquaredUp Cloud and usage by feature. And so these dashboards, just as dynamic as what we've just been talking about and seeing in our other demos. But we have this application services view. So this is a particularly important dashboard here. This is similar to our Veda view in SquaredUp today, although the look and feel is a bit different. In fact, it's still in development. We can see that the front-end service of this SquaredUp Cloud business service is marked as red, and the cloud service account dependency that it relies on. And we can see how this fits together into that graph. So we can see the SquaredUp Cloud, and then these dependencies of the front end, the logon feature, which is having this issue in this case. And so we can navigate to the cloud service account here. So for any application service, we can look at its sort of its individual SLO. We can look at the logs for this particular feature to see maybe what's going on behind that. And so now we're kind of getting into that more classical observability data that Richard talked about, also being included as part of this IT observability. So I can search for things in here, and I can filter that out as well. So logs and metrics. And perhaps, this particular feature or this particular business service experiencing a change maybe as a result of a recent push that was at least a recent release that came through. So I can see all the recent releases that were pushed through by our development team here as well. And maybe if I need to escalate that, I can escalate that to the proper points within the development team as well. And then we have things like documentation. If I need to troubleshoot, I can put runbooks to troubleshoot in there as well. So that's a look at SquaredUp Cloud. I'm going to be diving into this much deeper in the deep dive session a little bit later today. So do drive that back in. But thank you very much for checking it out. And back to you, Richard.
That's awesome, Jason. Thank you. Super exciting. I guess some people watching that who may be familiar with some of those APM tools and log collection tools that I mentioned just at the beginning of the keynote, may think, well, it kind of looks familiar, right? Looks sort of similar. How is SquaredUp Cloud different to those APM tools?
So our focus at SquaredUp Cloud is IT operations, right? That point kind of came clear across your keynote as well. And so having a single place to give you visibility across every business service and platform for your IT operations teams is really what we're trying to drive here. And typically we see those APM tools oftentimes being adopted by the development team. This tool is specific for IT ops to give them the data of everything they're looking for sort of all in one place.
Yeah, great. And it's not like those APM tools and those log tools where it's not trying to collect all the data into a single database though either, is it?
Yeah, it's a good point of distinction. So that graph, you can think of that knowledge graph as really an index into all of your tools and data. So we can pull that data on demand. Our focus then, as you sort of see, virtually, is connecting that data, not collecting that data.
Cool, awesome. Thank you very much, Jason. And yeah, we'll see you for the deep dive later. So that is SquaredUp Cloud. Coming soon. That was just a preview. So we do have Dashboard Server and SquaredUp 5.1 available for you today. SquaredUp Cloud is in development, and we'll be announcing a little bit more detail about when that's coming. And indeed, to find out a little bit more about where we're heading with SquaredUp Cloud and some of the time frames, do stick around for Jason's sessions. That's towards the end of the day, where he'll be giving a much deeper dive into SquaredUp Cloud, talking about knowledge graph and sort of explaining what that is, what we mean by that, and how it works, and also some of the announcements we can make about the availability of SquaredUp Cloud. Also, of course, you know where to go. Over to the SquaredUp booth. Jason showed you that in the welcome for the event, and there's a SquaredUp Cloud kiosk there where Jason and again the engineering team behind SquaredUp Cloud, actively working on this right now, are there to give you a quick demo and take any questions. There you go, 3 product announcements, a new product lineup to take you on a path to unified IT observability. We have Dashboard Server, dashboarding any data for free, and that's available today. We have SquaredUp 5.1, so extending the observability of your SCOM and Azure environments with all those other data sources, again, available today. And SquaredUp Cloud, true unified IT observability powered by knowledge graph technology, coming soon. If you're already a SquaredUp customer, I hope you're as excited about these new products as we are, and I hope you agree with us that the future starts here. Thank you very much for watching, and enjoy the rest of the show.